Modern society has always seemed to have a bit of an obsession with technology. But no single device has had as much of an impact on the world than the mobile phone. Today, the average person touches their phone an unreal 2,617 times per day. In an average year, we spend just under 800 hours on our mobile phones. That's over a whole month. And with these figures rising all the time, it's no surprise that the last 10 years have been labeled as the decade of the smartphone. Today we will tell you the history of phones, everything about it, and some fun facts about phones. Number 5. The world's first mobile phone. Mobile technology was underway long before the first real mobile phone came on the market in 1983. Already, back in 1908, the patent on the cordless phone was issued to Nathan B. Stubblefield from Kentucky, USA, and the first cell-based phones were developed by AT&T in the 1940s. It was a major contribution to mobile technology, but the first real mobile phones had to wait. The 3rd of April 1973 was a historic day at Motorola. Engineer Martin Cooper reportedly had a big smile when he called the competitors and said the words, "It's Martin Cooper. I'm calling you from a mobile phone, a real handheld portable mobile phone." The phone he was calling from was the prototype for the Motorola Dyna TEC 8000X, also called the Brick. When the Dyna TEC 8000X finally came on the market in 1983, it became the world's first commercially sold handheld mobile phone. It was nicknamed the Brick by its own developers thanks to its shape. When the Dyna TEC 8000X landed in the shops, it cost what in 2018 equals $10,000. The marketing targeted the CEO segment and the Wall Street heavyweights, but it was mostly people in the construction industry who purchased the Brick, as it solved a long unresolved problem, namely, how to communicate and direct logistical issues from a construction site without a landline connection. Despite a relatively low sales figure, Motorola sold well above the expected number of phones. The launch of the Dyna TEC 8000X marked the takeoff of a giant technological longitudinal leap from which we have yet to land and fully understand the potential dimensions and ringing effects. Number 4. Nokia was the first to bring mobile phones to the people. The telecommunications company's networks and technology created the basis for commercializing mobile calls, internet on mobile phones, text messages, smileys, emojis, and apps. Mobile manufacturers were quick to develop mobile phones in line with advances in network technology and matched consumer preferences. The Finnish Nokia was one of the companies at the forefront of development of both the GSM network and the new digital mobile phones. The world's first commercial call on the GSM network was made from a Nokia phone in 1991 by the Finnish Prime Minister. A few years after their debut in the market, Nokia launched the 2110 model in 1995, which became their first major success. The Nokia 2110 was able to send text messages, stored 10 called and missed calls, and although Nokia estimated a modest sale of 400,000 devices, they ended up selling 20 million devices over the years. The Nokia 2110 was the start of an era in history dominated by Nokia, with which innovative design aesthetics, a high level of user-friendliness, and a wide selection in all price ranges, they established themselves as the world's leading mobile manufacturer. If you were young in the 1990s, you probably remember the cult Nokia 3210 and Nokia 3310 phones. They sold 150 and 126 million devices worldwide, respectively, and gave the old Snake arcade game a rebirth. Nokia's 1100 model is still one of the world's best-selling mobile phones to this day, even though it was released in 2009. Because of its low price and up to 400 hours of battery life, it has sold over 250 million devices. Number 3. The iPhone 2G was the first smartphone. According to Stein Jurgen, mobile expert at smartphonerevealed.com, one should divide the history of the mobile phone into two eras. mobile phones before the first iPhone, and smartphones after the first iPhone. The Apple iPhone pulled the rug out from under the competitors. The first iPhone was technically inferior compared to many competing phones, but the user interface and design were so radically different and smart that competitors were caught off guard. The operating system was straightforward and intuitive. Just press the screen once to activate the desired function. Apple was groundbreaking, and with the iPhone 2G, the world's first smartphone was introduced in the world market. Although Apple took the first step in 2007, it was only when the iPhone 4 was launched in 2010 that the content and material quality were at a level where competitors took them seriously. However, it was far too late for many of the major established mobile manufacturers such as Nokia, Panasonic, Motorola, and others. They had been napping, and their sales were dwindling. Number 2. Changing shape. It's not just the technology of the cell phone that has changed over time. The physical design has also gone through a roller coaster of changes. Original car phones and bag phones were as large as modern-day computers and just as heavy. Like computers, the cell phone over time has become drastically smaller. Customer research showed that the phone was so small that the user interface was unacceptable. Though the phone may have functioned perfectly well, their opinion was partially driven by the perception that the phone was simply too small. Eventually, customers' perceptions shifted and they demanded a smaller, sleeker cell phone. Just in recent years, cell phone designs have actually started to become larger and simpler, making room for a larger screen and less buttons. Because phones have become mobile media devices, the most desirable aspect is a large, clear, high-definition screen for optimal web viewing. Even the keyboard is being taken away, replaced by a touchscreen keyboard that only comes out when you need it. The most obvious example of this is the Apple iPhone and the subsequent competitors like the Droid models. Number 1. Some interesting facts about phones. There is an addiction to mobile phones, and it's called nomophobia. Around 200 million human beings suffer from this phobia, and it is the fear of certain individuals who are afraid to leave their home without their mobile phone. There is also another term, ringxiety, that is used to describe the feeling of hearing the phone when it is actually not ringing. And yet another one called phubbing, which describes the behavior of a person who ignores everything around him or her, including human beings, due to the use of the mobile phone. Oh wait, you might be doing this at this very moment, are you? We check our mobile phone about 150 times a day on average. Although it is very likely that people who suffer from nomophobia do this a lot more often than average, it is said that we check our phones every 6 minutes on average. Are you holding yours right now? Don't you feel like taking a quick look at it? You better finish this video and leave that for later on. There are already more mobile phones than people in our world. This is happening because the number of people who have a mobile phone in the world is very high, about 5 billion. And it is increasing as we speak, and each user has 1.5 phones on average, which means that the number of mobile lines is located closer to 7.5 billion. And the world is populated by 7,350,000,000 people. This is the most expensive mobile phone in the world. It costs $95.5 million. This is the Falcon Supernova Pink Diamond iPhone 6, which has a case made of 18-karat gold and has a large pink diamond on its back. Mobile phones contain many more bacteria than a toilet flush. According to several studies, the number of bacteria found on the screens of mobile phones is 20 and 30 times more than what has been found in a toilet bowl. So that's a good reason to keep it away from your mouth, don't you think? In Finland, throwing mobile phones is a sport. The distance record to date is set at 97 meters for men and 40 meters for women. There is a mobile phone out in space. It is a Google Nexus phone launched into space in 2013 by researchers from the University of Surrey in the United Kingdom in order to check the resistance of its components in vacuum conditions and its ability to control a satellite in space. At some point, it was going around the Earth. Do share with us in the comments if you know more mobile phone facts. Thanks for watching.